The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Thank you, and welcome to our Simple Tax Solutions Tax Knowledge and Software Training Part 1. We are ecstatic that you chose Simple Tax Solutions as the company to train you on tax preparation, and we look forward to working with you all for many seasons to come. Here at Simple Tax Solutions, we value each and every individual, and we welcome you with open arms into our tax family, and we hope to have a successful season and that you have many great experiences here at Simple Tax Solutions. This is our tax software and knowledge training, and what this training will do is by the end of this training, you will know the basic procedures for tax preparation of basic individual tax returns. You will be able to perform and know tax knowledge and lingo of preparing basic tax returns, in which you'll be preparing W-2s, 1040s, Schedule A's, Schedule C's, or self-employment, and more. We hope that at the end of this course, this answers a lot of the questions that you may have about taxes and tax preparation. And we do encourage that if you have any other questions or if there's anything that you don't understand, to please hold your questions to the end of each lesson and definitely ask them, because we love to answer them. The only question that's considered a dumb question in this course is the question that's not asked. Every question is important to us, however large or small the issue may seem. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. In this tax training course, you will learn how to prepare taxes utilizing TaxWise tax software. TaxWise Professional Tax Software is the software that we use at Simple Tax Solutions. It's a great software source and solution, as well as it's very user-friendly and it's very simplistic to use. We're going to show you all of the functionalities of TaxWise tax software, how to prepare returns utilizing it, and just how user-friendly it is, as well as we'll also get into some shortcuts and things of that nature that can help speed up your process while you're preparing tax returns. All right. Now, when you double-click on the icon on your desktop, it's going to say Surefire. The icon on your desktop is going to read Surefire, because Surefire is the service bureau that we utilize during tax season to help us hand in hand with TaxWise tax software, and they serve as our technical assistants if we have any computer glitches, things of that nature. Those things happen quite often during the season, as IRS is constantly rewriting tax code and updating things and so forth. So this is just our service bureau, but we are utilizing TaxWise official TaxWise software. Now, this is the home page or the home screen menu of TaxWise once you open it up. And we're going to just go over and discuss some of the major functions of this software. Also, in this course, not only will you learn about the functionalities of TaxWise tax software, but you'll also learn about, as I suggested before, terms and lingo, and as well as deductions, credits, what are they, tax laws, limitations, and other key things that will help you prepare returns, at a higher success rate and have your confidence level where you want it to be. The first thing you have to do when, getting started with a client prepare interaction is make sure that you're comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, you can't convince your client that you're comfortable. And you want to utilize all the things that we're going to learn in this lesson to ensure that you are comfortable. And you want to take a breather before you start the tax preparation process. Make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that you have all of your paperwork handy that you're going to need your clients to sign. You have pens, clipboards, everything that you're going to need for the tax preparation process. You're going to want to take many notes during this training just to make sure that you are retaining the knowledge and that it's there if you need to go back and read it before you begin the tax preparation process. By the end of this course, I am sure that you will know everything that there is to know about the job in which you have chosen to take. We've trained thousands of people in the Mid-South on tax preparation training with a great level of success. We look forward to making your success great as well. Now, the first thing in tax-wise that we're going to talk about are the icons at the very top of the screen. Just like any other program, file, and these are some of the things that are in file: open return by Social Security number or EIN, edit, form, letter, view, bank, reports, communications, tools, and help, of course. Also inside of help, there are keyboard shortcuts. You might want to click on this and take a look at it when you have time, and it'll give you some different shortcuts to do different things in the software that could speed up preparation time. The more things you know how to do in a very quick manner means, you know, how quick you can actually get a client's return done accurately, as well as, you know, go ahead and get it done and get to the next client. Also, another cool feature in tools, you guys may want to jot this down. It has a calculator, and this can assist when calculating or adding or subtracting, multiplying, or doing anything in a client's tax return, and they actually need you to come up with some figures or help them with the total amount of something that needs to be added, subtracted, or multiplied, or divided, or something. And you know, you can utilize this calculator. All right. These tabs up here, most of them are gray because the functions cannot be used at the current time. You will use most of these functions in the software and while utilizing the software for tax preparation processes. And we'll talk about a lot of these boxes up here that you can click on later on in the software lesson. The next tab is Home. It's the Home tab, which has the home interface you can take a look at. The next tab is for TaxWise Web, TaxWise's actual site. The next tab is the link to the irs.gov. You can utilize irs.gov for multiple uses, you know, to find out different things about maybe tax questions you may have, read publications, you know, just type anything that you have a question about in the search bar. One of the most used things during tax season with the IRS website is the Where's My Refund link. And it's a quick and easy tool to use to actually go to it and type in your client's Social Security number, filing status, and their exact refund amount. And then it'll let you know the status of your client's refund or what's going on with it. So you guys may want to jot that down, irs.gov. Where's My Refund helps me find out what's going on with my client's refund. We also love to use our Santa Barbara Tax Products Group bank and support hotline. So you can write down SB TPG, Santa Barbara Tax Products Group, that's SBTPG, bank hotline. And that number is 1-800-779-7228. 1-800-779-7228. And the reason we like to utilize that bank hotline is because of the simple fact, a customer can call that hotline as many times as they like. They can press extension 1, type in their information. No, they do not have to have their exact refund amount handy at the time, and they can hear the status of what's going on with their return. With that hotline, it'll also let them know the expected refund date, and if the refund has already been deposited into their account or there's a check ready for print for that person, that refund hotline will tell them so. So I like to hand clients that hotline number, and it keeps them from tying up our lines in the office, and they can call that number, like I said, as much as they like. There's a Manage Students tab if you were going through TaxWise training, Solution Center, Knowledge Base, and a Notifications tab for a TaxWise blog. Those are just the tabs in TaxWise. I just like to go over everything just for your basic knowledge. My aim is to not have you being a tax preparer, but a tax professional. So you can't be a professional at what you do if you have any questions about anything that you're doing. All right. So we're back at the TaxWise home menu. And it has the task that we would do most often, which is start a new return, open an existing return if we've already had one prepared and we need to go in it for any reason, maybe to add, a dependent, fix a problem, add a W-2, take away something, whatever needs to be done, we can always, open a return that we've already created, edit, or do whatever we need to do with it. Change user, which is very important because everyone will be presented with a username and password. That is how we will know who did what returns from everyone else. So everyone will have their own unique username and password for their tax return storage. Changing package is something that you more than likely won't do. As you'll see, once we start a new return, we're going to select the only package that we're going to use. Okay, so first, I'm going to go ahead and get right on into it. We're going to go ahead and change user. So every time you log in, you go to change user, hit the drop box, select the username that you already have input in the system, type in your password, select OK. Alright, we're going to select the individual 1040 package. This will be the only package that you'll ever select because individual 1040 returns will be the only returns that you will be preparing. You want to go ahead and hit OK. And if you have a prior client in there, it'll let you know, that person's social security number, their name, 1040 package, of course, what date it was in there, put in on, telephone number, email address, username, etc., etc. So we're going to go ahead and prepare a new return. So we select new return, and the enter social security number box pops up. So what you want to do is type in your client social, and you want to make sure that you key it in correctly the second time, or the software will not let you proceed. If you key it in and it's not giving you the OK button, something's wrong. You want to verify the very top social and enter it in just the same in the second box, and then hit OK. Alright, once that's done, TaxWise is going to take you to the TaxWise main information sheet and the TaxWise 1040 page for tax preparation. Now, we're going to discuss a couple of things in the main info part of the software and the software interface. Okay, to your upper left hand corner, there's the refund monitor. The refund monitor tells you once income has been input into the system, the client's AGI and the client's refund due to them or the balance due to the IRS from the client. If it says refund, you know that that's a refund to the client. If it ever says balance due and it's in red, that means that that's what that person owes. All right. Below the refund monitor, this is what's called the forms tree. And in the forms tree are a list of all the forms that are already open in the client's return. It's nothing to be alarmed about. TaxWise is very simplistic. All right, jot this down in your notes. The only forms in the forms tree that require attention are the forms that are accompanied with an exclamation point. So all the forms that have an exclamation mark beside them are the forms that require your attention. If the forms have a blue check mark, those forms do not require your attention. They do not require your attention. I'm going to give you some things to jot down in your notes just to go along with as a key to how to utilize TaxWise tax software. So if everyone would, write down forms tree if you already hadn't, forms tree, and in the forms tree, all you're looking for is exclamation marks. Forms tree, we're looking for exclamation marks. Forms with exclamation marks in red. The only thing that you have to fill out in TaxWise or questions you have to answer will be accompanied by red lines or red boxes. So if you would, put down, we only have to fill out red lines, red boxes. You will see red words occasionally, but red words does not mean that it's a question that you have to answer. It may just be something of attention. But if it's not a red line or a red box, those words aren't pertaining to anything that you have to fill out. Also in this class, I like to do a little interaction. So I'm going to ask you guys to repeat after me. To fill out a tax form, we're looking for red lines, red boxes. Say it with me. Red lines, red boxes. Okay. All right. So with every form, we've talked about the refund monitor. We've talked about the forms tree. Now we're going to talk about the form. With every form, you want to start from the top. And this is letting you know that, yes, this is the U.S. main info sheet. It's for the tax year 2013. Yes, we are in 2014 as the year, but the taxes are calculated on everything you did in the prior year. So it's tax year 2013. And as you'll see up under this, it says check the form you are using, 1040, 1040A, 1040EZ, 1040PR, 1040NR, 1040NREZ. Now I'm just going to go over this briefly because it's not in red. It's not a red line or a red box. So, you know, why is it something that, you know, we don't have to fill out? All right. If there's anything that you're in doubt of or a question that you have in TaxWise, TaxWise has this wonderful thing called TaxWise Help. And it's located down here in the blue. If there's anything that you have a question about, just click on it and TaxWise will tell you what needs to be put in that blank. So right now, our question is about the 1040, or our topic is the 1040. And it says, by default, TaxWise selects 1040 form as the form to be filed. When you have entered all the information for this return, TaxWise shows you at the top of the main information sheet whether the return qualifies to be a 1040A or a 1040EZ. So that's the beautiful thing about TaxWise. It selects what type of 1040 form you have to use. You don't have to select it yourself. But just for your basic tax preparer knowledge, so that you're not just tax preparers but tax professionals, I'm going to explain to you guys what the difference between these forms are just for your personal knowledge. Alright, if you guys will jot down 1040, 1040A, and 1040EZ. And I'm going to give you the definition of these three forms. These are the three major forms utilized in personal income tax preparation. 1040, which is also called the standard 1040 or the long form 1040. 1040A, which is used for itemization, and 1040EZ is just like the name suggests, it's easy. And I'm going to start with explaining about the 1040EZ. The reason why the 1040EZ is so easy is because the only thing that you can put in a 1040EZ form is basically a W-2. There is no dependents, no itemization, no deductions, anything like that. It's just basically easy. Just someone reporting, some income. That's it. Not trying to claim anything, not trying to get anything else. Just reporting the income they made, and that's it. 1040A, however, is a little different. It's for the simpler portion of tax returns. It's used in the case where a person's reporting a tax return and they're also reporting, some itemizations, little interest, little dividends, just itemization things. And they can have dependents. The standard form 1040 or the 1040 long form can be used for any individual tax preparation need or process. So, you guys will just know what these three things are. The three major forms in the tax preparation process are the 1040EZ, 1040A, or the standard or long form 1040. Alright. Also, you can check here for Spanish forms on the screen and print it. And check here for Spanish forms printed only. Just in case you do a Spanish return. Alright. Now, during the tax preparation process, the first thing that you're going to want to do, now that you've, interacted with your client, greeted your client, told your client who you are, and that you are with Simple Tax Solutions, and we are happy that that person has chosen us to prepare their taxes, and now you want to ask them, well, what can we do for you? And they're going to say, hey, more than likely, well, I'm here to get my taxes prepared. Well, the first thing that you're going to do before you even get into the software is you're going to have your paperwork ready. And that paperwork that you're going to hand the client is called the client organizer or client info sheet. If you guys could jot that down. Greet the client, hand the client a client organizer or client info sheet. You can call it whichever you like. The client organizer or client info sheet is the single most important piece of information that a client can give us. And we're going to show you why right now. This is our standard client information sheet. The reason why it's the single most important document that a client can give you is because it obtains all of the client's info that you will need to key in on this first main info sheet in the TaxWise tax software. Alright, and we'll start from the top. It has our company logo, the tax year, and that we are an authorized e-file provider. And the first thing that you want to ask that person is, or make sure that they fill out definitely, is if they were referred or sent by someone. We're going to go into full detail of this form because every single thing is very important. You want to know if they were referred or sent by someone because, we have people that are going out and referring people to us and for us, and we want to make sure that those people get the credit, for people sending people to us and to you as tax preparers. Make sure that those people get their referral fees because without them, a lot of our clientele would have never reached us. We want to know, is this the client's first time choosing Simple Tax Solutions as a tax preparation company? Yes or no? And if they've been with us before, which location? How did you hear about us? Just to know what avenue of marketing is working, well for the company. Radio, TV, Google, Facebook, etc. Meaning like flyers, signs, magnetics on someone's car. How did they hear about us? All right. Now, to the things that you'll need for the TaxWise tax software. And I'll begin with all of your clients' personal information. Their first name. If they have a middle initial, you want to make sure that that's input in there. Their last name. Social security number. Date of birth. All of these things are very important, and you want to make sure that you verify them with the documentation that your client has brought with them. Along with giving them this client organizer, when they're done filling it out, you want to actually look at and take a look at the identification that they have brought and the supporting documents that they have brought for them and their dependents. It's very important that we get a copy of their identification just so we have on file to make sure that we don't have any mistakes, and the IRS requires us to have on file just to ensure that we did interact with the customer and it's maybe not stolen information and so on and so on. And we want to have those source documents just in case there's an error, at any point on their tax return. We can pull up that client organizer as well as the actual copied Social Security card or identification and just make sure that we have all of the numbers and digits keyed in right, as well as the first name and last name. Every single year, so many returns are held up, rejected, and things of that nature just because things were incorrectly keyed in. We all make mistakes, so let's just make sure we review all their documentation, before we actually key in any returns, just to make sure that we have everything correct. One thing about, a rejected return is, it can be corrected, so long as the only reason it's rejected is because something was improperly keyed. We can key that information in and get that client's info, on in the system properly. All right. Also, we want to go ahead and make sure that we have a copy of their driver's license or state ID number, date issued, expired, state that issued the ID, so on and so on. We want to make sure that we get a phone number on them as well as an alternate phone number. Their correct address or mailing address, zip code, city, and state. Definitely, you want the taxpayer to give you the correct address that they, lived in last year, but if they've moved, then they need to give us the address that they're living in now, because this is the address that the IRS is going to send their letter to if they so happen to receive a letter or any type of documentation. This is exactly where the IRS will send anything that they need to send to the taxpayer. All right. Filing statuses. We want to make sure that either they have one of these circled, or if they don't understand it, that they just leave it blank. And you want to just ask your client, hey, look, if there's anything on here that you do not understand, just leave it blank and I'll explain it to you. And we're going to go over the filing statuses. What are they, what they mean, and things of that nature before we move on, just to give you guys that great tax knowledge that you need in preparing tax returns. I want you guys to write this down. There are 5 filing statuses. 5 filing statuses. We only have 4 listed here, but there are 5, and we're going to explain them and what they are and what they are for. The filing statuses are single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, and widower with a qualifying child. Single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, and widower with a qualifying child. All right. What single is a person, and it's not talking about relationship status. All of these filing statuses are talking about your marital status. I'll see a lot of times people come in and they may circle single, and then they put down dependents' names and information at the bottom of this client info sheet, and then I'll ask them, well, why is it that why is it that you put down single or you circle single on your client info sheet? And they say, well, I'm not with anybody, I'm single, and I have kids. And then, we just have to explain to them, no, that's not what that means. Single, basically, the definition for single is not married, never married, or once was married and now is not married. To be single, it just basically means you're not married, or was not married at, by the last date of the prior year. So by December 31st, you were not married. Okay. Can a person still file single and still have children? Yes, but only in a certain situation, and I'm going to tell you what situation that is. Okay. Married filing jointly, and excuse the typo here, married filing jointly means that a person is married and they're filing on their return with them and their spouse. They're both on the same return. That's what married filing jointly means. They're both on the same return, and they're carrying all the income, all the dependents, everything. Everything that they did for the entire year, all their credits, deductions, the kids they're claiming, everything is on the same return. That's what married filing jointly is. Basically, a return filed by a married couple. All right, very important. Definitely make sure you guys jot this down. Married filing separately. Married filing separately. What married filing separately is when a couple decides to file a tax return. They are married, so they have to let the IRS know, hey, look, yes, we are married, but we're filing separately. Now, you wouldn't get both individuals filing married filing separately, like, the husband filing married filing separately and the wife filing married filing separately. What the married filing separately option does for a married person is lets one person file married filing separately if they have tax debt, or if they made a certain amount of income and they're going to actually owe the IRS. So it allows that person to get on a payment plan or pay their own taxes over time or whatever it is. And it allows the person that doesn't have tax debt or anything of that nature to actually carry the children or file their own tax return and get a refund back, whereas the other person may not be getting a refund back. So that's what the married filing separately filing status does. The filing status that the other spouse would actually take if their spouse is filing married filing separately, it gives the spouse that's not on that return the option to file head of household. Head of household. And what head of household means is that you're a person that have dependents. If a person comes in and they circle head of household, that basically means that they have dependents. To be deemed head of household, it doesn't mean that, hey, look, you're just the head of the household and, it's your home. It means that you lived in the home for over half a year. Jot this down. A lot of the things, dealing with dependents, dealing with anybody getting any earned income credit and deductions and different credits, the IRS wants you to live in the house for over half a year. Doesn't have to be 12 months, just over half a year. Doesn't mean that the person that stayed in the home only 7 months is going to get less money than the person that stayed in the home 12 months. If you lived in the home over half a year, you're entitled to earned income credit and as well as other credits and deductions. So in turn, you're able to file the head of household status because you had taken care of all the bills and expenses of that household. Now, you can file head of household without filing married filing separately. I was just using that as an example of a person that's filing married filing separately. The other spouse can file the other spouse can file head of household with the dependents, or if there aren't any dependents, then the other person can file single. All right. Now, the final filing status is widower with a qualifying child. Widower with a qualifying child. What that is in the case of a person that was married during the prior year and their spouse passed away and they have dependents, they still could file married filing jointly, but instead they would file widower, meaning that, you know, they're going to put their mate on the return, but they are a widower and they have a qualifying child. So that's the last filing status, and those are the 5 filing statuses: single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, and widower with a qualifying child. All right. Moving along, you want to make sure that your client fills out the occupation slot properly. What did you do for income? If the person works at Kroger, you know, we don't want them to put Kroger, or we're not going to be able to input Kroger in the software. We have to put in what the occupation was. You know, if they were a cashier, let's put cashier. If they were a stocker, let's put stocker, or a forklift driver. Whatever they did, let's just put this here. You know, if the person had 2 occupations, let's just say, you know, they were a cashier during the day and they worked at FedEx during the night. They were package handlers or tug drivers. Well, you just want to ask your client which occupation you did the most and which one best defines what you did for income. So, you know, if they were a cashier in the daytime and they were a painter, you know, on the weekends, if they did cashier most of the times, then you're just going to put cashier, or have them put cashier. Very important, in the case a person's phone is off or the number changes, we need an extra way to get in contact with them. Just in case, you know, we have any issues with their return, or, you know, in the case they have a return that has come back. You know, some people they send off for their returns, and, you know, it may take a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, and, you know, they may just say, oh, forget it. And then, you know, we actually get the check there at the office, and we have no way to get in contact with them. You wouldn't believe how many checks we actually have to shred and discard of after the season going towards the fall because clients have not claimed them, you know. So, you know, just make sure that you get a extra way to contact the client, you know, whether it's Facebook, email, you know, some sort of way we can contact them just in case we need to talk to them about issues with their return, or if they, you know, actually get a return back and we need to find out how to get in touch with them. In the case of that a client has a spouse, you know, enter in all their information just like you did for them. And then their dependents information. You want to definitely make sure that you have these things correct: the first name, last name, date of birth, Social Security number, relationship, and child care. Yes or no. That's if they pay for child care or daycare for these dependents. You know, you can put that down. These questions here below also help us to do our job better in assisting them, you know, with their return. And it's questions that we actually have to fill out in the software. Did you live at the above address for 6 months or more? Yes or no? Did all of your dependents stay with you at least 6 months? Yes or no? Did you file these same dependents last year? Yes or no? And explain. The reason why we ask these questions is because, especially this question, we want to know, does this person just claim different people every year and expect to get money? And, if so, we'll know what's going on with their return. If it gets held up, we want to just say, hey, look, you may be getting held up because you're claiming different dependents every year, and the IRS has finally, decided to give you an audit and ask you to prove, that these dependents actually live with you. Did you file your taxes last year? Yes or no? If so, did you receive your refund? That's a great question. We want to know, if they filed their taxes and they didn't receive a refund, well, there's a great chance that they won't receive a refund this year. We can probably go ahead and tell them that we will definitely go ahead and file it for them, but we want to ask questions like why do you think you didn't get your refund, or did the IRS send you a letter in the mail? Maybe it's something that they need to reply to with the IRS before the IRS releases their income or their refund. Was their refund, disallowed for any reason? Did they try to file some children or dependents that weren't theirs, and the IRS just said, no, we're not giving you the money? If so, it's a great chance that it's going to happen again. How did you file last year? Self-employed, or did you have a W-2? Or do you not know? A lot of people, some people, they just don't know. Here, we want to go through every single step with the taxpayer so that the client understands the tax preparation process as well as what all we're doing, with their return, and they know what's going on. Also, it lets us know, what type of individual we may be dealing with, Can you get a copy of your prior year's return if needed? This helps us know a lot about the client, Do they even know who filed their taxes? And that sounds crazy, but, every year, you have people going around, just getting people's information and sending it off. A lot of times clients don't even know who filed their tax return, how they even got the tax money. I've experienced clients that have came to me and they've told me, hey, look, I want to get my taxes done, but can you make sure you push the button real quick because the person that did my taxes last year is going to probably try to send my return through. So, some of these questions are just key into dealing with what type of situation you're dealing with. If a person can get a copy of their prior year's return, it also can bring up the question of, if the company that they went to the prior year is open for business, or if they've been shut down. If they've been shut down, then, that person might not know what have got done on their taxes. And it may be a great chance that person may have had a letter coming or may have to prove some things this year. It just helps us to know, if something happens during the process of us filing their taxes and they don't get their money, that, we're not the ones that they're saying, hey, look, they don't know what they're doing, and so on and so on. No, we're looking at these questions, and, this is great indications of why you may have not gotten your tax return anyway. And, we can use these questions along with, our refund hotline. And then you can press extension 2 on that refund hotline. They can actually speak with someone, from the bank that could tell them if they got to check the prior year, what the reject code for this year is for, so on and so on. Or they can contact the IRS directly at 1-800-829-1040. 1-800-TAX-1040. 1-800-TAX-1040 is the IRS's number. Do you need to file Form 8862, which is the form stating that you were disallowed of earned income credit previously? Yes or no? The reason why a person may have been disallowed earned income credit is, they were claiming children that they could not produce proof that they had taken care of, or that is a dependent of theirs. And people do it every year. And the IRS has been cracking down. So, a lot of people you will see, will come in and say, hey, look, I have to fill out a Form 8862. And doesn't necessarily mean that they won't get their refund, but it means that the IRS already knows that, they are under current earned income credit watch. Okay. That completes showing you guys the client organizer, and you want to use that client organizer as well as other source documents that will provide you for the client to actually help you get all the information you need from the client, as well as file the returns and have the clients fill out all of the disclosures from the bank and from the company, just to make sure that all the when all the documents are signed, it just says basically that you've completed the tax return and the person agreed to let you prepare the return, as well as they're agreeing that everything that they've given you is said to be true and correct by them to this day, that they've done their taxes on. All right. So now we're back to the TaxWise software main information sheet. You've seen the client organizer. We've discussed it, and we're going to go ahead and create a sample return. We're going to just freestyle it, and then you're going to actually see how to prepare a tax return. So again, refund monitor, nothing won't appear in here until we actually input some income. Forms tree, we're only filling out the forms that have exclamation marks. And TaxWise will suggest forms if you need it. It's a very simplistic software, and I'm telling you, you're going to love it. So I like to use a process that I call click, type, tab. That's what we do at Simple Tax Solutions. We'll click on whatever it is we're going to type in. So we're going to type in a name. We're going to say John Smith. And I just clicked, and then I typed, and then I tabbed. I hit the tab key. So when you hit the tab key, it goes over to the next slot that demands your attention. And we're only looking for red lines, red boxes. So those are the only things we got to fill out. All right. If your client has a middle initial, by all means do put it in. We'll say his middle name's Fred. Type in his last name, Smith. Tab off. Also, if a person has a suffix on their identification cards and their Social Security cards, do type it in. If they're a senior, type in senior. If they're a junior, the third, the second, etc., etc. Again, if you have any questions about anything, resort to TaxWise Help. It'll tell you exactly the answer to what it is you're looking for. All right. So I've typed. Now I'm going to tab. Click. Now I've typed. Now I'm going to tab. Tab on down to this red where it's asking for the present home address. All right. The beautiful thing about TaxWise is when you type in a zip code and you hit tab, it automatically calculates what the zip code is. Doesn't matter what zip code you type in, it's going to know it. If it comes back and it says TaxWise doesn't recognize this zip code, then you may want to just verify with your taxpayer that this zip code is a correct zip code. Phone numbers, like I said before, you want to make sure that you obtain 2 or 3 phone numbers from the client just so we can get in contact with them. This is daytime number, evening number. If they have a spouse, you want to enter in the same information for their spouse. If not, we're saying that this person doesn't have a spouse. We're going to move on. Okay. Cell phone number, very important. You want to actually enter in a cell phone number for this person, even if you've already entered it in before, just because there's an option in the software where the client can receive a text message to their cell phone about their refund. If their refunds, when their refund's been accepted, when their refund's been approved, when their refund is going to be funded and it has the money available for them, they'll get a text message. So that's something that your clients are going to want to definitely have. So make sure you put a cell phone number in there. Make sure it's the client's cell phone number. It's not just an alternate number that they've given you, because the worst thing that could happen is, somebody gives you baby mom or baby dad's number, and, they get the text message first. You know, that's just might not be a good situation. Okay. Also, we never release or relinquish any type of tax information to any other person other than the taxpayer. I usually generally like to ask the taxpayer to verify their social and verify their social and their birth date when they call me, just to make sure it's them. I don't really like to give clients info over the phone, but if it just has to be, I ask them to, you know, verify a couple things with me just to make sure it's them, because you know, you'll be amazed to know the lengths that some people will go through just to find out if somebody has gotten their tax money, so they can, you know, try and do whatever they're trying to do, you know. So, you know, never give tax information away to anyone. All right. The next slot that's demanding our attention is the birth date slot. So we're going to go ahead and tab off. Type in the person's birthday. Tab off. And everything in yellow, tax-wise, automatically calculates. So anything in yellow, you'll never have to fill out. All right. Tax-wise occupation is the next thing it tax-wise needs to know, the taxpayer's occupation. We're going to say that this person's occupation is forklift driver. And as I stated before, if this person was a painter, you know, and they did painting on the side, well, if their forklift driving job was their main primary job and they did this more, you want to put this down first. But we still will put that painting income on here, but forklift driver, you know, we'll go ahead and put that in first. All right, so we're going to scroll down, and it's very simple, guys, very simple. The only thing that we're looking for is red lines, red boxes. Now we've come to where we have to input something in some red boxes, and it's resulting in filing statuses and exemptions. Automatically, you see tax-wise, as I said, calculates everything in yellow. So you'll see that it already has given the person an exemption for themselves. You know, everyone that has a Social Security number, no matter what age, if they're the primary taxpayer, is automatically entitled to an exemption for themselves. We'll discuss exemptions later on and what that means. Basically, you know, an exemption actually helps you get, you know, more of a refund. Okay, so you'll see the filing statuses: single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, qualifying widow with dependent child. Okay, we're going to say that John is head of household, and as I stated before, you click on anything in tax-wise and it'll explain it to you. You have the definition for each one of these filing statuses down here: single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, and qualifying widower. This is just wonderful, just wonderful. Always use your tax-wise help. I always tell everybody, please use your tax-wise help. You know, if you really just go through this software enough and utilize that tax-wise help, it's very simple. It's so simple. You know, you'll be doing different things in the software that you'll never even knew that you could do just because you use tax-wise help. All right. So we're going to select head of household, and we're going to tab off, and we're going to scroll down, and we're looking for red lines, red boxes. Now, dependents is what a person must have if they're head of household. Now, there's two red lines about, you know, dependent. So what do we want to do? First, we want to read what they're talking about. This line says, if the qualifying person is a child but not your dependent, enter the child's name. So if Mr. Smith is claiming his own children and this is his dependent, he's going to put that dependent here. He wouldn't put his dependent here because it says if the qualifying person is a child but not your dependent, enter the child's name here. That means, like, you know, if he's claiming a friend's dependent or something like that, you know, that's where the IRS wants you to put something like that. But if you're claiming your own dependent, they want you to put it in down here where it says dependents and non-dependents. So we're going to say that John's dependent is John Smith Jr. And very, very important, guys, if Junior is on the Social Security card, you want to make sure you put Junior in the software, because the records must match exactly with the Social Security Administration office. Also, some brief notes on the type of identification we can accept for dependents. We can accept Social Security cards. We can accept birth certificates, but though they're not significant because they don't really bear the Social Security number. But to verify the Social Security number, Social Security cards, or if a person doesn't have the Social Security card or they misplace it, if they could bring in a copy of the Form SS5, which is an application for a Social Security card, you know, they can go to the Social Security Administration office downtown and, you know, put in a request to get a Social Security card. No, they don't have to wait till they bring that card in. They can bring us that letter that actually bears the Social Security number, and it says, you know, that this person has put in a request for a Social Security card. The Social Security number for that you know, that person is, you know, whatever it is. So we can utilize that. Very careful. You want to verify with the client the date of birth of their child, because if one digit is wrong in the date of birth, the return will be rejected. All right. Again, in yellow, you see TaxWise calculates the age for the taxpayer. All right. Next is the Social Security number. You want to definitely verify this. Make sure that every digit is correct so you don't get a reject. Key it in correctly. And then select the relationship to that person, whether it's the son, daughter, etc. Now, just some general information. A lot of people always ask, who qualifies to get earned income credit? You know, people will come in, they'll mark down cousin, aunt, uncle, mom, dad, things like that. The only person that can get you earned income credit, and you guys want to jot this down, earned income credit to get a tax refund, is a son, daughter, sister, brother, niece, or nephew. Son, daughter, sister, brother, niece, or nephew. Those are the only relationships that can get you earned income credit. Those others can be used to write off things. In the case a person made, you know, high income, and they need to just write some things off, you can use that, but it will not get you any earned income credit. And we're going to talk about that more in the software training. Months in the home, as I stated before, a person must live in the home over 6 months. So, you know, if you select 6 months, it's not going to give you the earned income credit. You have to at least select 7 to 12. So if a person's been in the home 12 months, definitely go ahead and select 12 months. That's the, you know, how the person gets earned income credit. No, just because you lived in the home 12 months and this person lived there 7 months, that doesn't entitle a person to more earned income credit. But if they live there all year, go ahead and select 12 months. Also, you see MX down here in the month in the home box. That stands for Mexico. If a person lived or their dependent lived in Mexico, then that's what you would select. Or if they lived in Canada for the entirety of the year, you would select CN for Canada. Now, key thing about filing taxes for people that are Mexican or Canadian or any person that is not or has not been born on U.S. soil and does not have a Social Security number, they will be issued what's called an ITIN number. Jot that down. U.S. non-residents or people not born in the U.S. do not have Social Security numbers. They have ITIN numbers, which allows them to work and file taxes. It does not entitle them to earn income credit. So if you have a client that comes in and they have an ITIN number, even if their dependents have a Social Security number, they still won't get the earned income credit for those children because an ITIN number doesn't enable them to get earned income credit. It only enables them to file their taxes and get back the federal withholding from their wages statement, the federal withholding. So an ITIN number is what a non-U.S. resident would have instead of a Social Security number. It's 9 digits just like the social, and it looks just like a social, but it's not a social. All right. Over here in the codes section, we're going to select for John Smith that his child lived with him all year. So we'll select 1. And if by any chance it was 2, a child who does not live with him due to divorce or separation, or all other dependents or a non-dependent, of course, none of these will qualify for earned income credit. None of these would. The only person that you can get earned income credit for is a person that lived with you. And that's key in why, you know, it's illegal to sell children to someone, because the IRS wants a person to actually file the dependents that lived with them, not, you know, someone that they're just using. So that's what a person has to actually do to get the earned income credit. All right. Something happened when we selected box 1. This box that says CTC automatically got an X in it. Again, anything in yellow tax-wise calculates. What this box here is that says CTC is the child tax credit. The child tax credit. The child tax credit is a credit that actually gives, you know, in some cases a couple $100 extra, you know, for a dependent, you know, based on the amount of income put in. And the child tax credit is calculated based on the age of the child. If a child is under a certain age, they automatically qualify for the child tax credit. And I'm going to show you that here in just a second. And earned income credit, or EIC, is something that you'll have to click on and select for each and every dependent or person that you want to claim and get earned income credit for. Now, just because you click on EIC doesn't mean it's going to automatically give that person earned income credit. A person must meet the earned income credit due diligence test before the software can calculate the amount of earned income credit that person is due. Again, it must be a sister, brother, son, daughter, niece, or nephew to qualify to get earned income credit, but also they must have lived in the home for over 6 months for sure. They must have all lived in, either one of them must have lived in the home for over 6 months. And also, they would have had to either have been under the age of 19, at the age of 19 through 24, and in school, meaning college, not high school. They must be, you know, between 19 and 24 and in college, or at any age, permanently and totally disabled. So at any age they could be permanently or totally disabled. All right. DC stands for dependent care. And this is where you would click if you pay for child care for one of your dependents, or your clients pay for child care for one of their dependents. And then it says, tax-wise calculates the person's name and Social Security number to Form 2441. And as you'll see now, there is another form that suggests our attention, and that's Form 2441. And it is for the dependent care. This is where we're going to put in our child care expenses, you know, how much we spent for the year on child care, and the place, the center, or who watched the child's name, and, you know, information to get that credit back. All right. Now, with all that done, if that person has another dependent, you'll go ahead and type in that dependent's name. Make sure that the spelling of the last name is correct, date of birth is correct. Type in their social, the relationship, how many months they're in the home. And once you guys have prepared a couple of these, it'll get simpler and simpler. And, you'll be doing this very quickly. Child who lives with them. Okay. And PAL, did you see that TaxWise did not select the child tax credit for this individual? Why is that? They're over the age limitation for the child tax credit. The age limitation for the child tax credit is 16 years old. So if that person just so happened to be 16, wow, they get it. So anyone over the age of 16 does not get the child tax credit. No, we cannot alter the age of an individual. They must be the age that they are. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because sometimes you may have two individuals, two individuals with the same exact situation. They're talking amongst each other. They're saying, okay, they both have two children, and they're both, having the same type of income, almost pretty much close to the same amount of income. And then one is saying, well, why does this person get more than me? Well, if person B has dependents that are both over the age of 16, or one that are over the age of 16, well, quite naturally, their refund is going to be just a little lower than the one that had, dependents that were under 16, because they're missing out on those extra couple $100s, So, that's what you want to explain to your client. They'll say, hey, look, how does she get more than me, or he gets more than me, and, things of that nature. We don't encourage that people discuss their tax returns with everyone else, but, they do. And, this will give you some answers to those questions. If you prepare a return and you're getting more on one than the other, well, take a look and see the age of that individual. Are they getting the maximum earned income credit or the child tax credit? Again, we're going to go ahead and select EIC. We're going to tab off. And then we're going to go ahead and type in his last dependent. All right. Make sure that the last name and everything is correct. And you got to remember, everyone's their dependent's last name doesn't always go with their last name. If a person's not married to a person and they have a child, sometimes the child keeps the mother's last name. Sometimes it takes the father's last name. You just want to verify that this is that person's child. And so long as it's their child and they have the supporting documents, we go ahead and put the information in. Type in the birth date, then tab off. Wow, you'll see that this person or this child here TaxWise calculated the age 0. That means that, this person, they were just born on 12/12/2013. Okay, so what do? Do we not get any earned income credit because this child here was under the age of 1 year old and did not get the opportunity to live in the home for a full year? Let's see what TaxWise says. TaxWise actually says for you to enter a number from 0 to 12 according to the number of months that the dependent has lived in the taxpayer's home. But it says if the dependent was born during the tax year, enter 12 for the number of months. So the IRS, they understand, that a child lived with the mother and inside the mother for 9 months. So they go ahead and they give newborns, they want you to put in 12 months for a newborn. So they observe that a child, has been living for a full year. So that's a big question. A lot of people say, hey, look, do I get child tax credit and do I get earned income credit for a newborn? The answer is yes. people like to say, do I get more money for a new baby than a older baby and things of that nature? No, it's no. If you qualify for earned income credit, you know, and you're under the age of 19, point blank, it's the same amount of earned income credit. All right. So we've got all our dependents in, okay, and it says the number of children who live with you, tax-wise automatically calculates that up. It's 3 children that lived with John that he's taking care of. And now we're moving along and we're looking for red lines, red boxes. Say it with me, guys. Red lines, red boxes. All right. Next, we're at the part of the return that talks about state information. What this is if we're filing a Tennessee return, we're going to select here because we're not preparing a state return. You know, Tennessee does not have state taxes. But let's say by any chance we were preparing a return for Mississippi or Arkansas or one of their residents, you know, we'll type, you know, click here and then type in the 2-letter state code, which Mississippi is MS and Arkansas is AR. All right. Now, once we type this in, we're going to hit the tab key. Then something's going to happen right here. And you guys will see it in the refund monitor. We're going to tab off. And PAL, the state refund box or state refund icon pops in, and it lets us know, you know, how much state refund is due or, you know, the taxpayer has coming back. You know, in the case you're doing a state refund, a return that obtains or contains a state refund. You know, it's just like doing any other return. When you key in when their income is keyed in, it'll let you know, if that person is due a state refund. If, you know, if they have a W-2, at the very bottom of the W-2, you're going to type in the state refund, and it's going to, the state withholdings amount, and it's going to let you know if they get a refund amount back forward. It's very simple. Nothing complicated about it. Very easy to do. All right. But for now, we're gonna pretend we're doing just a Tennessee return. So we're gonna just click here, check here, and we're gonna tab off, and that takes away everything else. All right. Now, very important. During the season, we're going to be preparing returns with bank products, and our bank of choice is SBTPG. SBTPG. That's Santa Barbara Tax Products Group. Now, because we can't click on it now because, you know, our systems aren't up to click on the bank, we're just going to select e-file only for the sake of training purposes. But during the season, remember, banking products, Santa Barbara Tax Products Group, that's what you're going to want to select. If you do not select it, things may come out of your pay, so on and so forth. Make sure you select bank products, Santa Barbara Tax Products Group. You'll be reminded, so you won't have to really worry about it. All right. Moving right along. Money Clip Prepaid Visa Card. No, it's not highlighted in a red line or a red box, but it is an option that we can offer to our clients, and it is available for them to get their tax refund posted to a prepaid Visa card. If you want more information about this, just get with your manager and say, hey, look, how can I, get my client a prepaid Visa card? They want their money on a prepaid Visa card, and we can help you out. Now, if they by any chance already have a prepaid Visa card or some type of prepaid card that they do banking with, by all means, they can give it to us, and we can key in that routing and account number in these boxes here and go ahead and make sure that, they get their refund exactly where they want it. If they have a bank account, that they want their refund to go into direct deposit, this is where it would go. This is the routing and account information. No, it's not highlighted in red, but because it's an option, it's not something that's required. So really the only things that, that are options are only on the main info page, which will be the prepaid Visa card or the bank account information. Fee collect, don't worry about that because we're using banking products through Santa Barbara Tax Products Group. Protection Plus, just so you know what it is. It says, does the taxpayer want Protection Plus? What that is basically like an audit shield. It protects the client up to $2,500 in the case of an audit. You know, they pay $2,500 to the IRS in the case that they owe the IRS a tax debt. The only thing to it is, you know, clients have to pay $49.95 up front to get Protection Plus. I couldn't tell you what the form looks like because no one's ever purchased a Protection Plus. We've never sold not a one. I don't know why, but no one seems to ever want it. All right. Versacom toll-free tax info line plus is the info line I was telling you guys about earlier. You know, if you have a cell phone number up top listed in the cell phone field or an email address listed above in the emails field, the client will receive, you know, emails and text messages about their return, you know, when their return is accepted, as well as when their refund is actually, you know, into their account. If the client would like to receive their emails in Spanish, you can check here. If they would like to receive a text message in Spanish, you know, you can check here. All right. Moving right along. Very important. Self-select practitioner PIN. What this is a 5-digit PIN number that you'll use and select for yourself for every return, just to verify that it's you that prepared the return. You can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last 5 of your social, first 5 of your social, last 5 of your birth date. Doesn't really matter. 5 digits right here belong to you. If you have any questions about this, or, you know, if you ever come to the point and you're like, okay, what is this for? Remember, tax-wise help. It says enter your PIN or personal identification number in this field if the taxpayer will sign their return electronically using PINs. What the PINs is basically, you know, if you've been preparing taxes as long as me, you know that clients used to have to actually sign each individual form that we actually, you know, filled out for them. So in turn, your client will be actually signing off on 9 to 10 pages, as well as page 2, and as well as all the bank documents. Here, you know, when you enter in your PIN, you're verifying that you're electronically filing a return. So you only have to enter in your PIN once for everything that requires your signature, and then their PIN once here. And we're going to get to that in just a second. The next thing it's asking about is what forms are you e-filing using PINs? And we are e-filing the full income tax return. So always remember we're e-filing the income tax return. Click there, tab off. Pretty simple, everybody. Everybody understanding this? All right, great. Any questions that you have, always remember, jot them down. We'll get to them at the end of this section. All right. Now, as I just stated about the taxpayer's PIN, this is where you will enter it. It's the last 5 digits of your taxpayer Social Security number. It can be found in 4 places very quickly. You know, at the very top of the returns page, there's a client social right next to your username. Client social is in the forms tree to your left, and the client social is at the very bottom of the screen. So I like to just tell the client, hey, look, I'm going to use the last 5 digits of your social as your PIN number, and that way if the IRS, you know, has to contact them, well, no, the IRS will only contact them by letter, but if they have to contact the IRS, you know, the IRS will ask for that PIN, and they'll remember it's the last 5 of their social. Simple enough. Then type in today's date, whatever today's date may be, tab off. And I authorize Simple Tax Solutions and my preparer to electronically file my income tax return. Tab off. Last but not least, we're at the very bottom of the page and of the return. And it wants to know if we have a third-party designee. We're going to select no. And you see the main info page or screen has an exclamation mark. Well, when we select no and tab off, let's see what happens. Boom, we got a check mark meaning that there's nothing else we need to fill out on this main info page. We have successfully completed the first page of the tax preparation process. Was that easy, guys? It's very simple. And with practice, you guys will learn how to fill this form out and pretty much complete this full form in about 5 minutes. All right. Now, just to go over the third-party designee, what that is if a person wants to allow another person to discuss their return with the IRS, they can select yes, and then enter that person's name, telephone number, and that person needs a 5-digit PIN as well. Just an example of who would need something like that, it would be maybe like, a person that has power of attorney over someone, or a husband and wife, or a baby mom and baby father that, are on great terms and they don't mind each other, communicating with the IRS about the refund, or any other individual that the taxpayer would not mind being, having info and can call the IRS and check on the return. All right. This concludes part 1. We will continue with part 2 of income tax preparation. Any questions that you have right now at this time can definitely go ahead and be asked.